It's been a while since I've made a video.
My name is Barney, and
I am addicted to Sora.
Mr. Gumbo, this is a Girl Scout meeting.
is it? Or is it that you girls can't admit you have a problem?
They have this program called Sora. Sora is actually able to create images, and it's so advanced now that these images, they know how to work within real space. Let's just say you have a character or an animal or something, and you tell it, well, create a woolly mammoth walking in the snow, coming out of the forest. That woolly mammoth has to interact with naturally with its environment. It has to know when it's contacting a certain surface. That surface has to, if you're hitting the ground and it's throwing up snow, it has to, has to react like that. And there you go. There's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Just from a few lines of text.
I first started hearing about Sora around 2024. I thought it was an interesting concept. I was curious to see what Hollywood studios would do with this new technology. I had no idea it would be accessible to the public. Fast forward to 2025. My first clip on Sora was an idea I had of a teenage witch who used a magical umbrella. I thought it was pretty cool. Made me think of some other ideas I could work with. For example, the character Vanellope von Schweetz from Wreck-It Ralph singing Black Rum by the group Cake Pop. I figured Vanellope would sing the portion by Ravenna Golden. With the Sora app, I thought I could expand upon that idea a little bit more and incorporate Lock and Barrel from the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas, and they'd be singing along with Vanellope. The results were okay. One thing I quickly came to realize is the capabilities of Sora were nerfed not too long after they were made available to the general public. So all these unhinged clips of SpongeBob getting arrested for a DUI and Michael Jackson pilfering fried chicken, that was part of a version of Sora that was no longer available. So with that in mind, I got bored. I got tired of bumping into the copyright guardrails, and I left it alone for a while.
I better not catch you feeding your best ideas into Sora. Don't you know the movie studios will be harvesting this gold, and you won't see a red cent? Use your head.
Okay, so when I was a kid, I had this really immature idea in my head of some guy rapping about it being Motherfucker Day. Don't ask me where it originated, but it was this persistent thought in my head of a man, essentially rap swearing while walking down the street on a bright Technicolor day. I figured it wouldn't trip up the Sora guardrails, so I made a prompt and plugged it in, and this was the result.
It's motherfucker day. Sun popping, gate swinging, vibe so fresh you can hear the birds singing. I step out the crib, whole block and play, hands to the sky like, whoa, hooray! It's a brand new groove and the neighbors wave.
I was intrigued, so much so that I did a few more iterations. Then I realized Sora had this feature where you could remix other people's creations with your own prompts, so then I started to get a little cheeky.
Gather round, it's motherfucker day. Snap, buzz, clip that caraway. Shake your wool, let the bad vibes fall. Yeah.
Yo, mark the calendar vibe in the alleyway. Got a holiday loud and it's motherfucker day. Pink buns blazing, sugar in my tone. Tiny, but I'm yelling on a megaphone.
Listen up. Rule MF of the internet. If it exists, Sora can remix it to rap about one thing. It's motherfucker day.
Clock strikes noon, whole world in disarray, but the beat says, hey, it's motherfucker.
Then I got bored with that and took a break from it, and I started experimenting with other ideas, other original ideas, basically any original idea that popped in my head, anything at all that I could possibly think of. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let me put it into Sora. And that's what I would do. I became addicted to just the instant gratification of seeing my ideas manifested in these 10-second clips. I also started feeding it original ideas I already had out there in the world. Like, I had the short story I published in 2021, so I fed a prompt about it in Sora and got to see it visualized as a trailer. But then I started feeding it ideas that I hadn't committed to paper yet, and that made me feel kind of icky. I felt like if I was taking the blueprint of my ideas and immediately fast tracking them into the large language model, was it really my idea anymore? And like, where is all this data going? Like, who's housing this? What's going to happen to it in the future? I didn't know, and I still don't know. So, considering that, I sort of cooled off from giving Sora my original ideas. So I stopped putting my original ideas in Sora, but I started playing around with some other random ideas. One persistent one I had is of this cartoon karaoke concept. So it's like a popular song sung by an animated character. I mentioned earlier I wanted Vanellope von Schweetz to sing part of Black Rum. I tried a few times in the past and was moderately successful, but my prompt generation skills at this point had improved, so I thought I would take one last crack at it. I'm not gonna lie, I love the results. I was hooked. So I ended up doing a few more of these, and some of my best results I put on my alternate YouTube channel. This will be important later. Then I had the idea to work on a larger project. Now at this time, Disney and Sora AI, they had penned this like 3-year deal where eventually people would be able to use Sora to generate creations using Disney IP. And this was exactly up my alley with what I wanted to do. So I figured, okay, let me set my Vanellope von Schweetz idea on the back burner and play with something else while this deal gets worked out. So the idea I had in mind was 2D from the Nicktoon series, The Fairly Odd Parents, singing Mariah Carey's song Fantasy. But it wasn't just a clip I wanted to do. I mean, I played around with a clip. What I wanted was a full-blown music video created entirely in AI. So I played around with the concept a bit, some of the ideas, just wanted to see if it was viable. And once I was comfortable with what Sora was creating, I thought, okay, great, I'm going to try to piece this together. So I ran into a few roadblocks. So first of all, even though I wasn't using Disney IP, I was still using copyrighted content, Fairly Odd Parents, Nicktoon, a Nickelodeon IP. Therefore, I brushed up against the guardrails a lot. I'd say 1 out of every 3 attempts to generate a prompt came back as a content violation. And this was frustrating because if you got too many content violations, Sora would block you from making videos for a period of time. So you had to wait until the ban period was over before you could attempt to generate videos again. And even if you did get a successful video, not every attempt was good. I could input the exact same prompt into Sora and get some vastly different outputs. Sometimes they were okay, sometimes they were straight up nightmare fuel.
That ain't Falco. That ain't Falco. Oh, oh, oh,
Also, Fantasy is a 4-minute song, or 4 minutes and 4 seconds to be exact. That's 244 seconds. So I want you to do the math. A Sora creation is 10 seconds long. That means I would need at least, at the very bare minimum, at least 25 viable clips in order to create this music video idea I had. And you're thinking, okay, 25 clips, that doesn't sound too bad. Well, what you have to understand is what I was trying to create was essentially animation, which Sora does not do. Sora cannot find any consistency with animation. I would create a clip that I was actually quite satisfied with and then prompt Sora to continue it or to remix it. But more often than not, I would just get an error. That's because Sora had a notoriously difficult time with animation, because live action is rooted in physics. Animation is not. Essentially, every time I put a prompt in for an animation, Sora was guesstimating. It was just taking a wild swing and hoping for the best. And you really need consistency if you're trying to make a 4 minute long project. So yeah, this whole business of trying to recreate or remix a scene, half the time I would get a live action clip because Sora didn't know what it was doing. So this, on top of the roadblocks, on top of the content violations that I was constantly getting, I eventually determined the juice was not worth the squeeze, and I abandoned the project.
Mornings like this, feel like the whole city just opened a window for me. New day, new game plan. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Another idea I was playing with was Sailor Helga. So Sailor Helga was a fan fiction that I wrote a few years ago. It's a crossover between Hey Arnold and Sailor Moon. Now, in the past, I had commissioned artists to create artwork for my story, and all of it's been incredible, lovely, beautiful. I'm happy with everything that I received, but I could not resist the allure of Sora. I just wanted to see, what can I create with just a few simple prompts? So I played around with a few attempts until I settled on one that I was happy with, and I ended up sharing it on Instagram. So I actually received a DM not too long after from an artist who I'd commissioned in the past, and they had expressed their disappointment with me using AI. I was not ignorant to the backlash surrounding the use of AI in the art community. For example, just a few months prior, this artist that I was following on Instagram, they wanted to see what their artwork would look like in a 3D model. So they must have inputted it into an AI service. They got the results back and they shared it with their audience, but they were promptly lambasted. So much so that they ended up deleting the post. So I bring this up because I mentioned all the cartoon karaoke clips I shared as YouTube shorts. Most of those clips sit comfortably at about 1,000 views, but at the time of me making this video, one of them is over 30,000 views. 10-second clip, over 30,000 views. Now, at first I'm thinking, yeah, this is great. I went viral. Good for me. But then I went and actually read the comments. They're not positive. So I had a bit of reckoning to do. Do I continue onwards with creating these AI clips, this AI slop, as people called it, or did I cow to public pressure and remove it, or make it private and just hide my shame? Well, as it turns out, the decision was made for me.
Disney and OpenAI to team up? Yeesh! Get ready, Bob Iger. You're about to print money.
No, 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 no.
So Sora was going to shut down. The internet rejoiced, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of complicated feelings about the whole thing. I had spent countless hours over several months experimenting with this strange new technology, and now it was coming to an end. I had to wonder what it had all been in service to. People were tired of AI. They were downright sick of it. I had made some interesting clips, sure, but to what end? What was the lesson in all this? So I guess the lesson is that human ingenuity cannot be beat. For all this talk that AI is going to take our jobs and make art and artists obsolete, that's all it really was. It was just talk. It was just lip service. You can't take the human out of the loop in creativity. The human is the creativity. It's the human that makes art captivating and personal and raw and authentic. OpenAI must have seen this. I mean, it's not like they cared about the public's sentiment, but they probably did care about the billions of dollars they were losing on Sora in the past few months. So they took it as a sign to shutter the AI platform in April of 2026. So where do I go from here? Well, I stand on this mountain of Sora AI video creations, and I share them with you today, not to try to justify the hours of wasted time and energy, But as a cautionary tale, a prompt cannot give you exactly what you ask for. It could come close. It could come very close. Sure, it could hit the right beats. But the only way you're going to realize that dream project is to actually put pen to paper, to actually pick up that instrument, to try and to fail again and to make garbage until you know better. Until you learn to eventually figure out how to do that thing. How to animate that scene with motion tweening or frame by frame. How to play that pop song on an automaton. Yeah, I think that's the lesson in all this. Ironically, it took my addiction to the AI machine to finally realize that.